This boy and girl are going to be well equipped when the time comes to take their places as worthy members of adult society.
Aloha, y'all. This is Daniel Eisenman, the host of the Breaking Normal podcast, where my guests are all invited based on the frequency of synchronicity, all done in person, and all trailblazers in the breaking of all things normal. All right, y'all. Welcome back to the Breaking Normal podcast. I'm sitting across not Joshua from the previous episode, but Joshua. It's May 19th. I actually had plans to have a cardiologist client of mine to be on the show, but he busted his lip and didn't want people to think he had herpes, and wanted to reschedule. And Yovel, the producer here at Let's Do Podcast Studio, he's instead of letting that be a stumbling block, he made it a stepping stone and explained pretty quickly that he has a Joshua, last name one more time?
So it's Joshua Groth, yeah.
Joshua Groth with him, and he's ready to do a podcast because he is launching a company called Nova Sapien.
Nova Sapien, yep.
And it turns out that Joshua and I know each other because of some previous podcast guest, Devin Suggs from Ember and Ice. It just so happens he had a birthday party recently at the sauna next to my favorite park in the world, Eben G. Fine Park, where they have their wood-burning sauna set up next to the clean and pristine Boulder Creek.
That place is sick.
It's very nice. And the idea that day, we thought we were going to be surprising Devin for his birthday. And it turns out...
Surprise birthday party.
Yeah, it was a surprise birthday party that Taylor was planning, from my understanding.
Yep.
And it turned out Devin may have kind of found out about it by accident. So he was going to surprise us by coming in with the Batman suit on a paraglider's back, that back being your back.
Yeah, so he told me, he's like, bro, I just saw a text on my girlfriend's phone. I found out that I've got a surprise birthday party, and instead of letting this be a wasted opportunity, I'm going to surprise them. Is there any chance we can thermal up and fly over, land at the birthday party? He's a big guy, so I was like, he's like, muscle. He's a man. So I was like, I don't know. We can give it a go. And I was like, let's give it a go. It's a unique kind of request from someone, so it was fun. I love when people are just game to give it a go.
Wow. I mean, I am so excited to talk to you about what do you call it, paragliding or flying, or what's the phrase you use?
Yeah, so I've been flying basically most things that fly other than helicopters most of my life. I grew up in Colorado, right here in Boulder, 4 generations. We had 3 generations Boulder, and we had 100 acres up in the mountains above Boulder. And growing up, which was incredible, growing up on the land with horses and very few rules, just running around the mountains. So when I was young, I remember looking up at clouds. I thought they were cotton balls. And I was like, I'm going to go live on a cotton ball when I was like 4 years old. And eventually I found out when someone showed me that they were evaporating, that, like disappearing, that they weren't. I was devastated. But I grew up flying airplanes with my uncles, and I just kind of fell in love with the sky. Then through my teenage years, I was skydiving, learned to paraglide when I was 19, base jump when I was 20, and paraglide, about 18, 20. And then spent the next decade basically speed flying and like doing para-alpinism around the world and just adventuring in the mountains. So although it's like people are like, oh, what do you do? Is it paragliding or these kind of sport? For me, it's like mountains are like what I do. I love being in the mountains, and then hiking, climbing, and then flying are like all ways to interact with that.
Wow, I had no idea. I mean, we've hung out in the sauna talking about camel and buffalo milk, but I had no idea this is your background.
Yeah.
And being the Boulder background, did you say 4th generation?
4 generations Colorado, 3 generations Boulder. Yeah.
Wow.
Back when cowboys and hippies, we were back. We were the earth roots of Boulder back in the day. Yeah.
And you said 100 acres above Boulder?
So like just up Lee Hill Road, there's like a left-hand turn that goes up into the valley. We owned the whole valley, so you didn't have any like you can't see the city. You feel isolated. There's like as the development's build up. All the rare birds and bobcats and lynx and bears would come into our valley. So we had like this, like a lot of wildlife growing up and everything. I mean, Boulder's just a cool, the mountains in Colorado are a cool place.
So there's bobcat and lynx in Boulder.
I don't know exactly. Now you've gotten me looking, but I'm pretty sure that there's both, and one's more rare than the others.
I think you're right.
Do we have Jamie? Is Jamie in the studio?
Yeah.
Is this...
Well, my Jamie being my memory, I think that the guy showed me a trail cam from the Red Rocks.
Okay.
And he showed me a bobcat and a lynx.
No way.
And a mountain lion and a bear.
Yes.
And a fox.
Okay.
But the lynx was ridiculous. It was crazy. That's how I remember. Oh, did you know? Have you ever seen an otter in Boulder Creek?
I've not seen an otter, but I've heard of them.
Me too.
Yeah.
I think I saw one.
Incredible. Cool.
Yeah.
Both of them in Colorado. Lynx and bobcat.
So the
cool. we have
confirmation from Yuval/Jamie. Wow. All right. So that's amazing that you grew up there, and your parents. Yeah. So you mean like your parents and grandparents grew up in Boulder?
My grandparents moved and bought that when they were in their 20s, early 20s.
Wow.
My grandma had a kid. One of her children, another one that she was pregnant with. In the middle, they built the house, went longer through winter. She was living in this like camping basically. While being a school teacher, while raising her kids, they went down to McGuckin's Hardware, which is our local hardware store here. They've had really strict regulations on dynamite. You had to keep your blasting caps and your dynamite in separate vehicles when you transported them. So they just literally went up there, drilled holes, blasted out a part of the ridgeline, built a house, raised 4 kids. Those kids then raised their families on this property. They built other houses. So my mom and dad had one of those houses, and it was like a dream kind of like growing up in the Colorado Rockies. It was like, I don't know, there's something about nature when you're in nature from a young age and you spend a lot of time there, you kind of discover a connection with that has kind of influenced my whole life. That kind of connection with that the stillness in nature, but then also the like constant moving. I don't know, there's something about the mountains that just captivated me from a young age that I've, still to this day have with me.
That's amazing. That is pretty profound. Are your grandparents still around, or?
Yeah, well, my grandmother and grandfather both passed away in their home, which is pretty cool to be able to like build a house, raise your family in it, and then like my granddad was there. Somehow the family was around, got up to go to the toilet, and he says, "Oh, I'm just gonna lie back down again." Lies back down and just passes away with my grandmother like, giving him a neck rub. So it's like, that's pretty dreamy. Like that's pretty great way to do it.
How old was he?
He was like 80 something.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah,
that's an incredible story.
Then my grandmother was going to pass away during COVID, during the tyranny of COVID, where everyone had to go inside and then have these places, where they would like put them in a old people's home and only a nurse could see them, and then they would have to pass away basically on their own. So my brother and I actually took care of my grandma for the last 3 months during COVID. We would get her high on whatever drugs she had, go get ice cream, and go hang out. And then we helped her pass away, which was a really cool kind of like circle of life as well. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What were their names?
Ann and Dave.
Ann and Dave. Wow.
Yeah. And they were like, they would go hunting in the mountains when they were like, I think they would spend 5 days in wintertime sometimes, or like in the autumn when the snow's everywhere. They'd sleep under fern trees, have a rifle, some bread, and they would just live out in the mountains. And it makes you feel now like we're kind of a little bit soft, having to have all of our gear, and we still can't do half the things that they were able to do back in the day. So
like both of them together,
yeah.
Anna and Dave together.
Yeah, they go out together hunting, and they bring back 5 or 6 deer, string them up in the backyard. We've got these photos. Yeah, it's pretty incredible to think about the different ways that we've kind of changed as a society. Yeah.
Wow. So you're like, y'all are like Boulder local legends.
Yeah. I guess so.
Yeah. And what about your parents?
Oh, my dad's Australian. My mom's from the US here, so I'm dual citizen. And,
Whoa.
Yeah, I spent half my life in Australia.
What? Where at?
Brisbane.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've traveled a lot. All 50 states and about 20-something countries. And
nice.
I thought Byron Bay might be one of the best places in the world.
You were not alone in thinking that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not too far from Brisbane. What ages were you in Brisbane?
When I was young, and then went to university there, and then spent 10 years running an aviation company, Skydance, and we flew around Australia, taking people on really high-end outback air safaris and weekend getaways, rock climbing and hiking adventures, basically just exploring the Australian outback. I didn't want to get a job as a pilot after I graduated university, and so I was like, I might as well just keep doing what I'm doing. We'd like fly into remote areas of Australia, and then with our climbing gear or paragliders and base rigs, and we'd go and like hike and highline and climb and paraglide. We opened up a bunch of new flying sites. It was like a dream kind of like time, you know, when you're in your 20s and you've got airplane and the whole wide of Australia out is like, that's like an inspiring entire time. I feel like my life is like filled with these inspiring chapters of like big mountain ranges, open spaces. That's like, yeah, I love that.
Well,
Yeah.
that's what I was going to ask. Do you not have like a book or a podcast?
I don't. I've thought about kind of doing more podcasting or more talking in different areas. Like it's fun. This is my first like real podcast, I guess you could say.
Nice, breaking
Yeah.
normal, baby.
Yeah. But I started a company recently, Nova Sapien, which kind of I was on the back of. I think COVID was a time that changed a lot of people's lives or the way that they think about the world. Did you have a kind of awakening during COVID in some way?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I'm trying to say this without being like brash or saying it the wrong way because it feels a little risky.
Just say it.
But the way I looked at it, like with the world, because I know personally some people were going through much worse things than me.
Yeah.
But if you looked at the whole world, I felt like what I was going through personally was so much more intense relative to the chatter, the echoing chatter of
Really?
fear. Yes. I during that experience, I lived in a community on top of on top of Blue Mountain. If you go up Coal Creek, Ute Road, and the very top of Blue Mountain,
Yeah.
it was just like we were in our own little bubble up there.
Wow, cool.
Epic. And then we would drive to Ebengee Fine Park so many times on sunny days. I eventually just moved there
Yeah.
afterwards, and I did that with my daughter and some other kids and parents that actually were going through divorces as well. So we like had a little community
Wow.
co-living situation of like single parents
Yeah. Wow.
going through something that I think was so much more consuming than the news about COVID.
Yeah.
I think I said that somewhat
Yeah.
properly.
So basically, you experienced a time that was you had like a disconnection between what you saw on the kind of media and the chatter versus what your experience was.
Yeah, my experience was like I am fully focused on probably the most important season of my life when it comes to like decisions and behavior, and my opportunity to do what I want to do the most is is be the best dad possible.
Oh wow, hell yeah.
And
You had a kid at this time as well?
yeah, she was I think about 4 to 6 through that range.
Okay.
She's 8 now. Or maybe like 3 to 5 actually. It's hard to do the math right now because I feel like my emotions are running high thinking about all of that.
Oh yeah, whoa, no joke.
And yeah, I was also very concerned about our world. Yeah, like a couple days ago, we had a guest on, Dustin. Do you know Dustin?
Yeah.
From Wazoo Gear?
I'm not sure about
He has
that. I feel
long,
like I
beautiful
did.
hair. He's a cool guy that hangs out at the sauna sometimes.
Oh yes, yep, I do know Dustin. Yeah.
And he was telling me how he believes his mom passed away from the COVID vaccine, and gosh, I guess I feel like it made a real divide in the world and in my own consciousness.
Yeah.
About like I get the opportunity to focus on what really matters the most, and that's like how present and how much I love like my family, friends, and pets and community, and be as faithful as possible and walk by that.
Yeah.
Or I can like go into this like herd mentality and just be completely run by fear, run by gossip that is being like pumped algorithmically through our social media on purpose. And so I feel like I've chosen that, and I've been hanging out with a lot of people that have chosen the former. Like, let's get really real about what matters the most.
Yeah, right.
Because I think my next guest is someone, you know, her husband, she's one of my best friends. I actually officiated their wedding, and her husband died through this experience, but I don't know if it had anything to do with COVID, and she's going to be on the show next, and she's like, has 2 kids that are like younger than my daughter. So yeah, I think what awakened me in me is like what to really pay attention to what matters the most.
Yeah. Right. That's a really positive thing to take from it. Yeah.
Yeah. How about yourself?
So I've spent most of my life living in these moments of I guess living expedition to expedition. Like I would work in Australia and I would do these really exciting things, you know, taking people on tours, and I loved my work. But really like for me, the thing that drove me every day was some new expedition that I would want to do, or a climb that would captivate me, and I would dedicate my life to it for months, or a long period of time. And that we were like, you know, free soloing and base jumping and doing these things where you have to be completely in the moment and completely centered. And this was my entire focus. And I think I didn't really pay too much to economics or the way the world works too much. But during COVID, I really decided to take a step back and study history and economics and try and understand the world. I saw things happening. You know, there's the same narrative all over the world, repeated word for word, and I was like, this thing is weird. And the whole I've never bought into like the fear mongering, or it's the kind of like sensationalization of media and all that. But what I ended up coming on time and time again through this probably a year and a half of studying, I was reading a whole lot, doing online courses. I studied Keynesian economics, Austrian economics, and a bunch of history stuff. I came to the conclusion that that our money is one of the biggest foundations of our biggest influences of our lives and of our world, the kind of money that we use. And so this was like the beginning of the Bitcoin journey for me. And I realized that the money that we use, it influences our time preference, which is like our propensity to forego consumption in the moment for later gain. So after kind of understanding Bitcoin more, I started investing more in my future and being more excited about saving, and being excited about contributing more to the future. That's like that was like time. I mean, it's a bigger conversation. Like you can't say it just in this moment and be like, oh yeah, it's made you think about the future. But there's a profound kind of change that happened in my life once I began to denominate my world in Bitcoin instead of fiat.
Wow.
Yeah.
You said something about time preference, or what?
Yeah. Are you familiar with?
Tell me what you mean by that.
Okay, so time preference. So if you right now save up for something, and you save up for a really quality thing, you accumulate capital. You like don't spend on concerts or something. You save for your future. Your money will buy less next year than it buys this year, and so you're going to have less. You're gonna have less. Part of that savings gets whittled away as the price of things goes up.
Okay.
And so you're incentivized to buy the cheap thing now, or have the instant gratification now, rather than saving for your future, because you can't save. If you want to save, you're forced to either save with a leak in your bathtub, so you can't save money without having the money printing, the inflation of the money supply taking your value, and the cost of living going up more than your wages. So you're concentrating wealth. Imagine like a pyramid where the majority of people are at the bottom, but the people in the middle can know that they're concentrating wealth faster to themselves than they're being concentrated from. And so that we go along with it. In the United States, we can live in abundance because we are benefiting from the outsourcing of the costs to third world countries that are further away from the money printer. And so we're able to benefit from this, so we continue this into the future. But when you look at it from a big picture perspective, we're not benefiting. We're actually destroying our in this seek of short-term profit at long-term losses. We're destroying our environment. We're destroying our social structures. We're making losses. We're accumulating debt. And so this is a broken system, and this money influences our whole world in a really negative way. Yeah, it's like we have a broken money. I'll contrast that with a hard money that is connected. It's like we have a finite world, a limited number of houses, a limited number of people, limited number of hours in our day. If we we represent that with a limited amount of money, then we have a connection there. And so you're able to work and live within your means and save and have that savings, if it's denominated in a money that denominates everything in a scarce way, you're able to accumulate capital. And so then your money will buy more in the future. Your savings will increase in its purchasing power over time instead of decreasing. And that's going to restore a more natural incentive structure. So you're going to be able to be rewarded for foregoing consumption. So instead of consuming now, today, on just the cheapest thing, the easiest, most instant gratification, you're going to accumulate capital and save for your future. And you're going to have the ability to do that. So Bitcoin gives us a foundation of peace and prosperity, where for the first time in human history, we have each individual acting in service of the entire world. And we have 8 billion people serving in service of 8 billion people, opposed to we have now what we have, which is the majority of people in service of a select few. So this is the promise of Bitcoin, to have this, for the first time in human history, like a perfect money. Yeah.
How does Bitcoin do that though?
So Bitcoin is a scarce. So it's only 21 million, and it's not controlled by anyone. So you can't change it. You can't change it, and you can't stop it. So it's scarce. You can't change it. You can't stop it. And so this is profound because it is it's a good store of value, a good medium of exchange, and a good unit of account. Yeah. So Bitcoin's like it gives us the ability to save where we have not had this in the past.
And so I think I understand most of that. What confuses me a little bit, and I wonder if it confuses others.
Yeah.
Like when the halving happened, or did that happen
Yeah.
already?
Yeah, that happened. So the Bitcoin network, we're diving into the Bitcoin here, into the Bitcoin world.
Yeah.
So we've got a scarce money, and it's
21 million.
You have 21 million, and it's like a spreadsheet with a bunch of balances, and anyone can just create a private key, and you own one of those balances. You don't have to connect to the network. You don't have to even own a computer, other than like you don't have to have a computer that's connected to the internet. You can create a key, and you have one of those little slots on that ledger that's backed up on the satellites and all the computers around the world, on all the nodes, and you're able to. So what was your question? You said
The halving.
the halving, yeah.
How
So
does
then
play?
we have that spreadsheet, but we want to have that made secure. And so the people who secure the network are the miners.
Mm-hmm.
And so they get rewarded from the 21 million Bitcoin. There's about 1 million left that will be released over the next about 165 years.
Okay.
And
There's only 1 million left.
there's only 1 million left of in the supply.
Okay.
There's still a finite amount. So they exist already. They're just waiting
But
to
in
be
the original supply, there's 1 million.
there's about 1 million Bitcoin that are sitting there ready to be paid to the miners in exchange
Okay.
for the securing of the network.
Okay.
Yeah. And this is a very important feature, because this connection, this is the connection with the physical world. So you have physical thermodynamic energy being fed into the Bitcoin network, and this to secure it, and this ties Bitcoin to the physical world. So then you have it's like you can't you would have to have the computing power of like 20 countries or something like that. Don't quote me, but like many countries, almost like a couple dozen countries worth of power to be able to influence Bitcoin. So this is it's the most secure computer network on the planet.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is what gives you the confidence that.
But what about the
it's
people
secure.
that are giving the energy? Is that threatenable?
So the energy is so Bitcoin seeks out the cheapest energy.
Okay.
And it's like a free market of like anyone can mine Bitcoin.
Okay.
And if you have extra electricity, then it makes sense to divert that to securing the Bitcoin network.
Okay. Do you do this?
Yeah. I've tried to. I have a little tiny miner by Bidax. They're fun little
Okay.
hobby miner. It uses about a few dollars of electricity a month, but yeah, there's a misconception that this energy consumption is bad for the environment or negative. But Bitcoin is one of the biggest drivers of renewable energy because it seeks out the most efficient energy source. And so that would be like flared gas, hydroelectric, wind. And so you're able to set up this energy infrastructure and mine Bitcoin with it, subsidize the cost of your energy infrastructure, and then you're able to replace coal-fired power plants and replace inefficient energies. But yeah, we've dove deep into Bitcoin stuff. So
Well, another question: did Bitcoin not just hit like a high yesterday?
I don't really pay attention to the price too much.
Okay.
But I think it's in like 100 and something.
I think 107 something.
Wow, that's great.
I think it was the high.
Cool.
So
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I'm wrong.
Sweet. Bitcoin all time high, baby. There we
But
go.
I think
Yeah.
yesterday was when I was. Anyway, so what is that? Why is that happening? What does that mean? How does that tie into this? And is it a good idea to invest into Bitcoin? How do you encourage someone to do that?
Good question. So my company Nova Sapien, we provide a product that helps people create keys and back them up. So they say not your keys, not your coins. If you don't own the keys to your Bitcoin, you don't own Bitcoin.
So what about if someone uses Coinbase or Venmo or something?
Someone has private keys and might have Bitcoin, but if we could trust Venmo or Coinbase, then we wouldn't need Bitcoin because we could just trust them and they could hold all of the Bitcoin. They could say how much they have or don't have. They could give it to you if they wanted to or not. But the reality is we can't trust these organizations, and they continually fall victim to rehypothecation or the increase of the money supply. They say they have Bitcoin, but they don't. They sell you something they don't have. They lose it. All these types of things. So this is why, if you own Bitcoin on Coinbase, it's not really Bitcoin. You're just trusting that they have it and that they'll give it to you if you ask for it. So the premise of Bitcoin is that we can't trust this, and so we have to own our own keys.
Yeah. And is that how does Nova Sapien fit into this?
Yeah, well, you asked about investment. So Nova Sapien, we encourage people to not invest in Bitcoin, but to save in Bitcoin. To first take the time to learn about Bitcoin, understand the basics of the network. We have online courses, and they help people understand the long-term value proposition of Bitcoin, which is not getting rich or not making money. You don't want to use Bitcoin to try and make money. If you do, you're going to lose your Bitcoin. It's going to go 10x, and you're going to sell it, and you're going to think you're all clever, and then you're not going to have any Bitcoin left. So I think Bitcoin will either become a reserve currency for our world as like a foundation for peace and prosperity, or I think it will be useless because it's like we're either solving the problem of money or something else is going to be money. So it's like money tends towards good money, and good money chases out the bad money. So this is throughout history, you can see this time and time again, where because of the network effect and the efficiencies, the money will tend towards one money. And right now, we see that happening with Bitcoin as it's the fastest growing asset in human history, and the first asset to reach $1 trillion in under a certain amount of time. I could go on. It's happening right before our eyes, but no one sees it. And so that's why we encourage people to save in Bitcoin. Take the money that you can't afford to lose, your long-term savings that you don't want to. It's not financial advice, obviously, but take like dollar cost averaging a few dollars a day, or the money that you want to keep for 10 years, and you just put that aside, and it stays there, and it increases in value. So that's the idea. Yeah. So invest, don't invest, save, as they say.
Yeah. All right. So, and is that Homo
sapien.
Nova Sapien, like the new humans?
Yeah, new human, new wisdom.
Novasapien.com?
Exactly. Yeah, novasapien.com. Yeah.
Awesome. Are you partner with people with this, or is this your solo project, or how are you doing this? How long when did this start?
Yeah. So during COVID, I backed up my Bitcoin with stainless steel on little washers, and I was trying to find the best way to do things, and it was hard because there was no set way, and I was doing things that were really bad that I would only find out was bad after I would make mistakes. And I was like, man, this is not confidence inspiring. This makes me afraid that I'm doing something wrong. And so I was like obsessive about it. I like put my mind to it. And over time, I started helping my friends doing workshops. And so over the last 5 years, I've done hundreds of workshops, and I've adopted what we call a seed signer. I wish I had it here to show you. And last minute nature of the podcast, I didn't get my product here, but you can go to website novasapien.com and see that demonstrated there. But basically, it's a little open source Raspberry Pi Zero computer that you can buy yourself from somewhere, and then buy the 3D printed case and stuff and build yourself. And then you can use that to create your keys and back them up. And that's our product.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, I mentioned, you asked also about awakenings, and during that time, I also started this.
Oh yeah.
In November 2020.
All right.
Tribe vitamins, which was originally bison liver.
Okay.
And capsules, bison liver, bison heart, bison testicles.
Yeah.
I'll have to get you some of those. But I know in the sauna we were talking about tallow and donkey milk and camel milk and all kinds of things. But this is the tallow.
Oh shit.
Did you ever use it?
So I that's funny. So just recently I got back from
I want to hear this story. Is this
from the
but you didn't use this one?
Not that.
All right,
no.
tell us the story about this tallow.
Oh yeah, okay.
Because I want to hear that, and I'm gonna rub some of this on my face.
Okay.
If you want to try some,
well,
tell me what you think of the smell.
Well, this is the second time. It smells very different to the tallow. I have a lot of friends out in the deserts of Moab, around Moab, and I did a little shindig out there. We dancing for a few days, and we did a river trip. And after 8 hours of paddling into a headwind, we landed on the beach, and like all the people from the festival were there. And this
what festival is this?
It's like Building Man.
Building Man.
Building Man.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Moab's awesome.
Moab's amazing. Yeah. This is amazing. It feels great.
Yeah.
Awesome. And this, I'm like tired and everything. Then there's this girl, beautiful girl, who's like, "Oh, your skin looks like you got some sun. You should use some tallow on it." And of course, I'm like, "Go for it." Yes. So she's like, a girl wants to give you a massage or whatever. This is great. In the middle of the sunshine in the desert, it was like, well, great. But it wasn't until like halfway through it, when she's almost done, I'm like covered in this oil. It smelled like a cow. I was like, is she just like, you know how sometimes at festivals you don't know if people are like know what they're doing? I was like, she's just like putting some random bit on me. I thought I was like, oh man, I don't know if this is real, but it's obviously the real thing. Tallow is amazing, so she had.
And she may have had some not as good. No one I've met said they have found a better tallow. So you can keep that. You can keep that one.
Yeah. Oh really? Thank you.
Yeah, because you don't smell the cow in that, do you?
No, this is amazing.
What does that smell like to you?
It smells fresh. It smells like neutral and fresh. Yeah.
Nice. Do you smell the white chocolate to it?
Is it white chocolate?
Yeah.
Wow.
I like it. It's that subtle. I like it's that
Cool.
subtle.
Amazing.
Because sometimes when I start sweating, people ask who brought the donuts.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my tallow. Tallow is my only experience with tallow, which was kind of funny. I still, until I talked to you about this, I wasn't sure if like this was some hippie putting random, who knows what it was. But this is obviously the real deal. So.
Did you stay in touch with that lady?
No. We have a lot of friends. I can't remember who it was actually, but we have a close friend group. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. So, Yuval, how much time do we have? What time is it right now? That was just.
33.
I feel like I got to know you a lot better in 33 minutes.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to make sure that we talk about? Because I usually keep these between 44 minutes and an hour and 11, but sometimes we break normal too.
Yeah. So we have like 15 minutes left or something.
Well, maybe like 15 to 30 or so.
Okay, yeah, right on.
Or so.
Yeah, so I think it's Bitcoin. I would be curious about you, and like I don't know much about you. You have a family, you have which is really cool. Something that is fascinating about Bitcoin. I encourage. There's a guy called Jeff Booth. Are you familiar with Jeff Booth?
No.
So Jeff Booth, he talks. It's where I got the 8 million people in service of 8 million people, as well as Lynn Alden and.
What did you say about the 8 million people? What?
Well, yeah. So it's like Bitcoin. I said earlier that with a scarce money that we all are using, in a world where Bitcoin is a reserve currency,
Yeah.
you'd have 8 billion
Oh,
people
8 billion. Okay.
each waking up each day and trying to figure out the best way that they can contribute to the world. Because if you have like right now, we don't really have a free market, and we're kind of living in a, if capitalism is like the pursuit of profit, we're kind of in an anti-capitalist society, because we're not seeking profit. We're trying to have these short-term gains. I mean, it's like it's capitalism, but it's like crony capitalism, or like the modern kind of capitalism. But like we're trying to make these short-term gains, even though we know we're making long-term losses. We're not trying to make profit right now. We're just trying to make money at someone else's expense. And if you're trading, you're trying to buy low, sell high, or if you own like an asset like property, and that goes way up in value, that's like it's concentrating wealth from people who are furthest away from the money printer to people who have cheap debt and hard assets. So this whole system is fundamentally like upside down. Incentives are all backwards. So Bitcoin, it creates a world where we are able to wake up each morning, contribute to the world, live within our means, save for our future, and we don't have to be an expert investor in order to be able to store money for our future. There are a lot of, this is like a big subject, and the like it takes a while to get to like fully comprehend the implications, but family is something that was interesting that I never really thought much about family until I started using Bitcoin, like going on a Bitcoin standard. So like no stocks, no like no savings in dollars, just like using Bitcoin as your denominator. And I started thinking more about my future and starting being more optimistic and more hopeful about the future. And I mean, I've always been like optimistic, but like this was different. This was like just being fired up about the possibilities in the future. And the thing that I kept thinking about and coming back to was family. And so I've like, that's been more and more exciting for me. It's like, that's like the coolest thing you could do. It's like be a parent and like create, you think about all your ancestors who were walking through the snow and freezing to death. And they, for whatever reason, there's this saying that, I'm not sure about religion, but like in the Bible, it says God will never give you a challenge you can't overcome. And I was like, well, it doesn't matter if you're religious or not. That very belief will make you take that next step. And so all of our ancestors, they took that next step and they strived, and they against all odds, they created what we have here today. They created us. I feel very honored to be able to be a product of that. And so being able to give that into the future is one of the greatest honors, I think, as well. So yeah, that's my like. I wasn't thinking about that when I was thinking short term, where you can't afford to have kids. You can't afford. A lot of people right now, they can't afford to have a family. So this is like I think Bitcoin, like, it changed me in a fundamental way, and it changes. I think it has the opportunity to change the whole world in a totally fundamental way.
That's inspiring to hear, and it reminds me. We had Yvel, I had a guy on the podcast before we had the whole video production. Maybe you know him. His name is Rob. I don't even know his last name.
Oh yeah,
I know him as Rob, and JJ, his wife's name.
Cool.
But I interviewed him, and the title of the episode is "Bitcoin Stay-at-Home Dad Nominates Joe Rogan for President," I think. And he had very similar sentiments. And
really?
yeah.
Okay. Cool.
He's in town. He's in Longmont, and he actually also has, I think, since then has started like a tallow meat bar.
Cool.
Company. And maybe it sounded like you were kind of asking me about me and with Bitcoin and stuff. I'm a big believer in aiming to understand it as best as I can, because it seems extremely significant to me. So I'll put money in there every once in a while, and more to watch it, more to force myself to watch it and study it and learn about it. And I do know a lot of people in the bison industry are into Bitcoin.
That's right. Yeah.
At this point in my life, or in the last few years, I feel like reinvestments have been into the business. But interesting things, like I was thinking about it because I've had a lot of regenerative agriculture, like Boulder ambassadors on the show lately.
Oh yeah,
and
Robert Rebick.
Rebick, and Robert Rebick, and I've been probably putting a lot of money into, like, funny enough, I was like thinking about like fat, like tallow, honey, and freeze dried organs.
Great.
And because I know that's like maybe my own personal version of Bitcoin for now.
Mm-hmm.
And I trust that I'll have even more funds in the future to
Yeah.
contribute, because what I'm almost hearing you say is you must believe like one of the best things we can do to contribute to a better society is by putting our extra money into Bitcoin
You,
in a passive way, like if we have in a passive investment way.
so I think the thing that differentiates Bitcoiners from the rest of the world does not necessarily have to do with Bitcoin, ironically. I think that your description there sums up a lot of what Bitcoiners do, which is to invest in their future, invest in their health And I don't think you need to own Bitcoin. I think if you have something that is compelling to you in your life, you want to invest in that, and you're going to invest in that for the future. And so I think you investing in meat and tallow in your company, long term, you're going to have you're already in line with these values. There's also the values I think of like free thinking and like individual sovereignty and things like that.
Exactly. 'Cause there's like
Yeah.
a literal version of it. Like if things went really haywire, like in 2020, where how it was
Yeah.
sounding on the news, it's good to have a good, nice supply of tallow,
Oh, totally.
honey, and
I wanna
freeze-dried
be
organs.
your friend in the apocalypse.
Yeah, yeah. Anyways, please go ahead.
Yeah.
I like what you were saying.
Yeah. So yeah, I think you want to have Bitcoin as a one of the best ways you can contribute to the future is to contribute to the future, and Bitcoin allows you to do that. Whereas right now we are forced to run in this rat race, and even if you don't think about what the rat race is, we can feel it. You wake up in the morning and you're like, oh man, I didn't get enough sleep, and I worked this week harder than I got paid. It's like this continual, you feel like you're getting wrung out by the increase in cost of living versus and this is like in the US, we don't really need Bitcoin, but the rest of the world is feeling what we feel, what I'm describing, only a lot more. And so Bitcoin provides a foundation for us to be able to step up, like on the stepping stones of progress in our own lives, and it allows us to have because the cost of things goes down over time, even though the price goes up. So if you are a business owner, you're going to innovate and try to find a more efficient way of doing things, and inevitably the cost is going to go down. So the cost of things always goes down, trends towards the marginal cost of production, or the price the cost that it takes to produce one more on a production line. That's the marginal cost. So the extra, it's in the economics. And that's where all prices are going. We see that with automobiles being basically how much it costs to build them. Everything in the world is like decreasing in the cost, even though the price goes up. But we live in a world of Keynesian economics where we have to have the price increase in order to reduce the burden of the debt that we have, and in order to continue to concentrate wealth. So again, I'm just saying it like I feel like I might be saying it over and over, but the money we're using right now, it has an upside down incentive structure and is fundamentally broken. Yeah.
Well, now you're also reminding me of another reason why honey, tallow, and freeze-dried bison organs specifically are a good metaphor, because these are limited situations that have a shelf life.
Yeah, okay.
Like a lifetime shelf life.
Yeah.
If stored properly.
Yeah.
Especially honey. I like this, and now you're making me wonder: is this why a lot of these bison people are into Bitcoin as well?
Absolutely.
Because bison, there's 500,000 bison on Earth, is my understanding roughly, and there's about 100 million cows.
Wow.
And like the cows are like these more man-made. It's not a hybrid necessarily, but it is very modified compared. To our national mammal that was here before Europeans ever arrived.
Yeah,
and they are limited. But it seems like it's an interesting thing too. But it's a little different because the more the money goes towards the bison, I think the more we can grow the actual world herd population.
Yeah.
Whereas Bitcoin sounds like more truly limited, but there's still more to get. There's still more to have. That's cool. I mean, and I like that. So novasapien.com. How do you say it?
Novasapien.
Novasapien.com. Well, thank you, Yvel, for connecting us about that, because I wanted to learn about this. I'm so curious about like even some of the earlier things we talked about.
Yeah.
Like I asked you about your family, and you said your brother Jordan were there for your father or grandmother's?
My grandfather passed away earlier, and then my grandmother, my brother and I were able to spend like 3 months with her on hospice at the end of her life, and I thought that was a really great experience to be able to have that in our society. We have this weird relationship with the end of life where we just kind of like ship people off, and it's kind of like the everyone in the world gets to experience that end of life period in some kind of way, and so it's like having that with family and having that that's like what again connecting with our more than like the natural way of living is having those kind of like taking care of our elders. I think that's important. Yeah.
I forgot where I was today. Maybe Alpine Coffee Shop, but the Rainbow Kitten surprise song. Or no, it's not that. It's another song. One of the lyrics is "How we all die alone."
Oh yeah.
Do you know what song I'm talking about? It's either from them or from Shaky Graves.
Yeah, I think they say there's a number of that idea, that you you're inherently alone. I don't subscribe to that actually. I think
Thank you for saying that, and thank you
yeah.
for actually proving that song wrong.
There we go. But
With
I think the song makes sense. I do appreciate the song, but I also I don't subscribe to it personally because we're so connected, and we find out more and more through science how connected we actually are, and how influenced we are by our environment, and how much we influence our environment. The act of us observing something fundamentally changes it at a quantum level, like the interactions we have like with each other. I don't know. There's just like the whole and yeah, I see us as like one big family. They say like that in a religion. I am you and you are me, and I think there's some kind of truth to that as well. Where um, if we as we grow as a species, I think inherently humans think about the long term, like when left uninfluenced by external incentive structure. I think humans are compassionate and collaborative, and I think we are together. Yeah.
Well, speaking of death and that concept and what you've done in your life, which you were talking about having a Jamie.
Yeah.
You didn't have like a videographer for you don't have any of these like crazy adventures that you were doing on camera, or some of them you do, or
I have a website. I do a little journal. It's hikeclimbfly.com.
okay.
It's like super outdated. I just put up fun little write-ups of expeditions and some videos of the base jumping events I've done, and paragliding trips.
Did you ever do it like vlog style where you were like kind of capturing
Yeah,
your
I do a lot of
emotional
them.
experience along the way?
I have footage of this, and I was thinking of putting together more. I I get really inspired by sharing my experiences and my adventures. I'd like to do that more, and um, coming into my own more these days. I think that'd be fun. I've like experiences where, like in Mexico, one time I flew, I don't know how it was, 100 kilometers or something down a mountain range. I don't think anyone had ever flown that mountain range from where I started from before, so it was like a new flight. It took me like 8 hours to fly there, and I flew to
8 hours in the
8 hours
air?
in the air.
And
Yeah,
where in Mexico?
7 hours, maybe 7 hours. Valle Bravo. It's like
Geographic
west
numbers?
of Mexico City.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right.
And this was a really fun trip because I was able to get to it. It was like another state of Mexico. I flew all the way to like a different state, back to the end of this ridge line where it drops down into wilderness area. So I landed at the last house that I could, like there was nothing beyond. So I landed
Okay.
there on top of this escarpment, and I just met a family. Didn't speak super good Spanish, so hung out with them in the evening, slept on their porch on my paraglider, and then launched the next morning, and then flew back back to where I started. So that was like that's a kind of
Flew
like
back to where you started?
yeah.
What?
So I launched from a cliff at the end of the escarpment, and then you can catch the thermals
Okay.
from the sun, and then yeah, basically it's like chest in the sky.
How many miles did you
Yeah,
say?
I was like 100 kilometer ish.
100
Yeah,
kilometers. So
yeah.
okay. That's amazing. Did you do this by
Yeah.
yourself?
I did that by myself. I was with a bunch of people, but I flew on my own. I passed it down this range because
What inspired that act of courage?
it's like if you ever sit and look off on the horizon and you're like, what's beyond.
Okay.
And with the paraglider, you can find out what's beyond.
Okay.
You can like follow those little curiosity of like exploring a mountain range, flying up a valley system, and then you get to put together all the different that you like your knowledge of weather. You look at the forecast and you look at the observations. You match what your mental picture of what you forecasted looks like in reality, and you have to change your plan depending on what actually happens through the day. You have to rely on your skills that you've developed over, for me, 18 19 years of flying parachutes. And so for me it's an incredibly, like they say that like serotonistic here and now is one experience where you like lay in the sun and enjoy everything, and then that dopaminergic drive. There's a book called The Molecule of More.
Mm-hmm.
Love that book. So I think that paragliding kind of gives you or the adventure sports, when you master something, it's like the dopaminergic crescendo. It's like when you're in that moment and you're able to like benefit from the skills that you have and go and pursue this thing, you're kind of in flow state. That's like the ultimate experience of that dopaminergic kind of driven experience. Yeah.
Are you familiar with Steven Kotler?
No.
Oh, I think he has like some. What's the book, man? I interviewed him, but he has a few books, maybe like The Art of Flow State or something.
Oh yeah.
He wrote this book with Jamie Kotler about like it's a good book.
Oh yeah.
I'll have to think. I'll let you know
Nice.
about that later. But yeah, is your brother into this kind of stuff, or your sister, or
Not really. Yeah. They fly, but they're not really.
they fly by themselves?
Yeah, but not a lot. Like they like have a paraglider and fly a few times a year.
Wow. I mean,
Yeah.
that sounds like an amazing like
Yeah.
I think about some of my most peak state moments in my life, and I know plenty of amazing like superhero types
Yeah.
that completely commit their life to surfing.
Yeah.
And it's almost like I feel a little bad because some of the times I'm like, I don't even know if you could paddle out there. Like that's like I don't know if you could experience that, like
Yeah.
thinking about someone or like a child or
Yeah.
is this how possible is it for someone to go fly with you and or by themselves?
Well,
Paragliding, or what's the safest? Like what's the
Yeah.
lowest hanging fruit? Because I've met plenty of people in Boulder that seem to live for this.
Yeah. There's
Maybe you do.
some of the best pilots in the world here in Boulder. Well, I shouldn't say that, but there are some exceptional pilots. Yeah, Wild Sky Paragliding is another company that I own. So you can come fly with me. And I'm like the funnest pilot in Boulder because I just have a blast. I love doing it. I do it as like a passion project. We'll like thermal up sometimes on a good spring day or summer day. You can get up to like 10,000 feet. You can be in thermal with your friends, like wingtip to wingtip, and you got a freaking bird there, and the clouds are towering in the sky. And I make cool video of it. It's like, I don't know. I
Is
love
this
that.
dangerous?
Yeah. I mean, I've been flying for 18 years, and I've have no no accidents with tandems. I think it's very safe. It's like one of the safer than driving there. You're safer flying the paraglider with me than you are driving to the hill. So,
I mean, yeah, I look at because because I have a few friends that are just so good at surfing. I
Yeah.
look at them as they're different,
yeah,
like Laird Hamilton or Koa Smith. I'm like,
right.
you're experiencing something I don't know if I'll ever get to experience. It's almost like a way I look at it, like a really like popular musician that gets
Yeah.
to rock out their passion in front of like
Totally.
thousands of people repeating like some lyrics they made in their bed
Yeah,
or on a trip or something. And I look at you in that similar way. It's like
Oh.
I mean, you're flying.
yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Flying is a dream. I mean, for me, it's you summed it up pretty well. It's this kind of like, for me, it's like art. It's expression. It's my kind of like when I'm in the flow state of flying or just out in the mountains, your mind is present in a way that is similar, I think, to like meditation. Sometimes I feel a similar kind of like presence and at peace. It's like I don't know. For me personally, like that's my passion, flight and mountains for sure. What about you? What's your passion?
Well, one more question.
Yeah,
Because
go.
the margins, you were talking about the margins of like, how the world's economics are going.
Oh,
But
yeah.
like the margins of death, what about like base jumping? Isn't that like one of the most dangerous things? Or am I maybe not
Yeah.
for you? Or like, is it statistically the most dangerous thing? And you were base jumping. Do you do that anymore?
Yeah, I've been base jumping most of my life. My base journey has been a very uh, like influential or impactful journey for me. It's been like for 10 years or so, it was all that I thought about was uh, basically base jumping and speed flying. I just loved the presence of mind, like I spoke about, like kind of like meditation. On base jumping, that's like on steroids. So when you stand on a cliff, your mind associates the relative distance with like dying. So your body is telling you, I am not supposed to be doing this. This is bad. I think Jeb Corliss sums it up in some interview really well, where he was like, "Yeah, this is like every cell in your body is telling you don't do this," and especially the first like 100 jumps, your first time, your first experiences of base jumping, um, when you sit there on the edge of the cliff and you are in that moment of having everything in the world telling you don't do this, there's a surrender that is necessary. That if you don't fully surrender, then you are not going to be able to perform it at the level that you need to. And so you have to kind of, it's almost like um this is like you're surrendering to the infinite possibilities that are going to happen after you leave the exit. And that the moment actually happens before you leave the exit. There's a moment in your mind when you decide to jump. You oftentimes you say 3, 2, 1, see, and 3, 2, 1, and then all of a sudden you're already living in the future. Your mind is like forecasting where you're going to be in the future. Things slow down, and the level of, so there's nothing that you can do to prepare yourself for that moment of surrender. And that's something that was very especially when I was younger, I was experiencing everything like pretty intensely. So I was like, it was a very, very influential experience. I feel it's like a fast track to enlightenment. I mean, I don't want to be like super glorifying it, but in my head when I was young, I was like, this has got to be what it feels like to be able to be like meditating for a while and be ultimate presence. And in that moment, for those few seconds, you are completely present with yourself, and you've like surrendered to the possibilities, and then you can act in the way, you can perform at the level that you need to. Yeah, it's a bit of an exaggerated description, but for the purpose of the exercise, I think that's kind of sums that base jumping experience up. Yeah.
Do you have footage of you base jumping?
Yep. Yeah.
Maybe we could B-roll some of that.
Yeah, sure.
Because that, so I just can't. It's hard for me to imagine.
Yeah.
I once flipped my mom's car down like a little cliff, and I remember the time, like what you're saying. Like all of a sudden, those 7 seconds were like the slowest. I was doing so many calculations.
That's it.
Like I was doing like 10 minutes of calculations in like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand. It was kind of how the Matrix shows.
Yeah.
That's somewhat of, and I'm imagining you're feeling that full force.
Yeah.
Jumping off a cliff.
For sure. Yeah. Dr. Eric Breimer is a fear psychologist, and he talks about the different types of like the different types of personalities or minds. And there's a certain personality type that does very well under pressure. And so I feel like that would be, I would have that, because when I'm in the moment and I'm like, I don't know, flying a line down a mountain on my speed wing or something, it's like I come to life. Or sometimes I've been in situations where there's like confrontation that comes up or something big happens, and I come to life. I'm like towards it, So I feel like you have to have that kind of personality. You have to be able to greet it. Yeah.
That makes me wonder about myself, and because I want to learn more about that, because I've noticed the times that's where I get the most present and calm, and I'm not inviting more of that in my life. But like when we were hosting health, I hosted retreats with like 30 to
cool
50 plus people for about 11 years.
Oh yeah.
In foreign places overnight, and it was amazing to me how calm and like my mind would work like 10 times more effectively and efficiently in these moments of crisis or chaos.
Yeah, right.
And I think that's why what allowed us to keep doing those. And that's like one of those things when I was like, I don't know if other people could do this. Yeah. Is paragliding is possible for most people or no?
Paragliding is, yeah.
Not base jumping?
Not base jumping. I recommend people don't. I recommend that people do not base jump. I think it's not worth the risk. There are cooler things to do with your life. And the people who are going to base jump will base jump no matter what you say. So I'm not influencing anyone who actually is going to base jump. But I always say like paragliding is way cooler than base jumping because you're in the mountains for longer. You can do it very safely. You can be within your limits. And there's a cool, supportive community for paragliding. Base jumping, there's like a dark side to it for sure, where the danger is there, and there's like there's like a pit in your stomach where, as a base jumper, where you have your the tragedies that happen. You watch the implications of someone dying, and then for their family and for the community, and it breaks the community, it breaks families, and it's really not it's not a good thing. Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's such a part of my life and such a beautiful thing for me. But I don't say to someone, "Oh, you should do this because it's fun." It's like it's like a journey. It's like a spiritual journey.
Well, do you do the wingsuiting thing?
I do have about 450 or 500 wingsuit flights. Yeah.
Is that more dangerous than base jumping?
Yes. Yeah. That's not. I don't fly the kind of wingsuit flying that you're thinking of at the moment though, because I kind of pulled the throttle back on that, just pursuing paragliding and stuff. But yeah, I love flying wingsuits. That's like, man, that's incredible. Being able to dive at like close to like well over 100 miles an hour, and then pull up. Nowadays with the wingsuits, are so efficient. You can go up again, you can gain altitude, and then you can roll over and go completely weightless, so you lose your stomach, and you're flying there with your friends. You can actually hear each other talk because you're flying so slowly. Yeah, wingsuiting is.
You can hear each other talk
in free fall. You're flying next to your friend, and you're going so slowly that you can just say like, "Woo, hell yeah!" Scream out.
Have you done that in Boulder?
Longmont.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's like it scares me to think about these things.
Yeah, I love it. I'll bring in my wingsuit next time and you can have a look at it. But yeah, that's a little bit of a glimpse. I don't know. Life is for living. Life is beautiful.
I'm like making sure there's nothing else I want to definitely ask you. Did you have a question for me? You were asking me something.
I was curious about your passion, because you strike me as someone who's confident in the pursuit of your path, that you feel like you're like on your path. It's, to me, it's something I think is really cool about some Bitcoiners you meet as well. It's like they find the thing that inspires them and they dedicate towards themselves to it. And you seem like a dedicated person. What is it that lights you up? What are you dedicated towards?
Well, what lights me up is, and what I'm dedicated towards simultaneously without being attached to it. It's like that. It's that like humbling and fragile of an experience. But like with my daughter, for instance,
yeah, wow.
She had a field trip recently, and she was begging me to be a chaperone.
Oh.
I'm like, that's like, wow, that's better than any baseball trophy.
Yeah,
I ever received.
Being a cool dad.
I know. It's like, you want me to go? Okay, you really want me to
You're
go?
blushing.
Yeah. So it's like that, and I want more of that.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
I want more of that, and I really enjoy believing that my daughter is my best friend and trusting that she feels that way.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I've heard different parents, different theories about like, I'm not their friend. Like, mine and my daughter's situation is unique, and I think I get to spend a lot more like quality time with my daughter than most dads do.
Yeah.
So that seems like the ultimate honor.
Yeah.
And my company Tribe Vitamins and this podcast and the book Breaking Normal, which I want to definitely sign a copy for you. See if
I would love that.
Resonates.
Hell yeah.
Because I would love to read your book.
Yeah. When I write it.
Yeah. I think that you could speak it. That's what I did. I
Really?
spoke it with a friend that was like studying to be a spy, scribe, and writer.
Wow.
So he kind of like helped me scribe it over. It took a couple of years, but it was fun, and I spoke it, and I could do it on hikes. We spent a month in Montana together, like doing some big hikes in silence, and then like I once dictated like probably a quarter of the book on the way down. After that, like 7.5 miles up.
Wow.
So there's other. I feel like your Jamie should be following you around on these crazy adventures, and so it's that's what it is. It's like my relationships, especially with my daughter,
Beautiful.
especially in this season, And when Tribe Vitamins allows me to like support other people with this like limited sacred product
Yeah.
that's also supporting me simultaneously, and then that also supports our family financially, that's a big focus as well.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's you have a rich life. It's,
Yeah, I aim to also make sure that I'm like living the life that now in a lot of ways that like I would like my daughter to live and my customers to live. Like you
yeah.
see me at the sauna quite a bit for a
Yes.
reason.
Yeah.
Like going back and forth between that like wood fire community ceremony to the creek.
There you go.
And I aim to make these things consistent and also like sleeping well, enjoying the sun,
Yeah.
especially at the right times, like in the very first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
Um,
I feel like that's the kind of rebellion right now. I feel we have the legacy media, which is still pushing this, like they're fighting for our attention and then pushing these negative narratives and just like uh whatever that is, like I don't relate with that. And I feel like being positive and hopeful for the future is the rebellion, and taking care of yourself and being healthy. I think that's the current counterculture. Yeah.
yeah, I like that. Self-care, the current
Yeah.
counterculture.
I guess.
Yeah, it makes me think of the opposite, like the idea of a family waking up, eating cereal with the TV on
Totally, right?
first thing in the morning, like while it's like sunny and nice outside. It's crazy. Yeah, we don't have a TV.
No, I've never, yeah, didn't grow up with one. Yeah, I don't have one.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Did we hit the 1 hour and 11 mark, Yabel?
We're 1 hour and 5 minutes.
Oh, look at that. Cool.
Cool.
Nice. Anything
Yeah.
else?
Well, I mean, it's a pleasure to get to know you a little bit more. It's really fun to do this in a podcasting environment because you kind of talk about things in a way you may not take the time to talk about
Yeah.
in everyday conversations. So that's pretty cool. I would,
That is part of the
Yeah.
self-care culture that I think you're alluding to, is
Oh,
that
yeah.
these people are willing to listen to long-form discussions
yeah,
or debates or even just whatever, having two people that think differently or meeting for the first time
yeah,
to allow to like express their feelings out loud without like a create time constraint, like
totally,
without
yeah,
like, oh, this needs to be 90 seconds. And I think that's part of the culture, that people are willing to listen to the full story from both sides
yeah,
rather than just like buying into propaganda blindly with their
Totally.
cereal in the morning while the sun's shining.
totally, yeah,
So thanks for being a part of it. And I definitely see how this type of creative act, especially with support from someone like Yabel, or like how I had the writer, maybe more of your art could inspire people
Yeah.
publicly, and it sounds like that's what you're doing now. So
yeah. I'm excited. Nova Sapien. We offer a self custody kit to provide the tools and materials to create your own keys. And I did this as like a need that's unmet that I dedicated myself to, not because I want to make money from it, but because this is like something that I think the world needs. That our online courses kind of walk you through step by step how to create your keys and back them up with best practices, so you can know that everything has been considered and you can know how to do it. And we also offer wallet recovery services, and that's kind of what funds the whole front end of that. So you're getting the benefits of all this, really low cost self custody equipment on the back of old hard drives that are in people's basements that have Bitcoin on them. So I guess if I was to make a shout out, it'd be like someone out there that's got a basement with a hard drive and they're thinking, I remember that one time I did a BIP38 wallet on and backed it up in my journal or on a hard drive, or my Bitcoin is lost on a little Trezor. It can, if you forgot the pin to the Trezor, we can access the Bitcoin on that. And so yeah, we recover Bitcoin for people, and that's kind of like a super exciting thing. And that funds everything else. So yeah, bring your Bitcoin in. Let's unlock it. Let's get you access to your old Bitcoin. So yeah, that's the shout out.
wow. How did you get mostly paid prior to this passion project?
I was the CFO for a film production company in town, Earth Coast Productions. They do like live broadcasting. And I flew tandem paragliders, and I did Bitcoin workshops. And before that, I ran Skydance, which was my adventure flight getaway company for 10 years, but then COVID shut that down. After that, I went, just put my skills in business to use, helping Artem grow his company. And then, now just flying paragliders and doing Bitcoin, doing what I love. So, yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to the Nova
There we go,
Sapien,
Nova
Nova
Sapien.
Sapien book and
.com.
podcast
Oh, hell yeah.
soon, man.
Yeah.
Come on, you're living too cool of a life. You gotta start sharing more of this with more people. I'm so happy I caught you here.
Thanks
Caught
for
you
the
here in flight.
thanks for the encouragement, and I appreciate the time getting to know you, and I'm looking forward to more adventures in the future. Let's go paragliding together if you'd be up for it.
Yeah, there's something brewing. There's something brewing. You know how I would be up for it is if I ended up doing this retreat with the previous podcast guest, like where we get to harvest honey
Yes.
with Sean.
Yeah.
We get to process a goat and milk goats with Joshua. We get to potentially do that with stone tools made from Donnie Dust.
No way.
And that we get to go visit Alice and Andre at their Golden Hoof and Jacob Springs. And then how many people and how many friends do you have? Like if there was 10 people or 15 people on this retreat, could we all fly down together? Like, do you have a capacity? You think your current capacity is to arrange a group of our guides to fly across Boulder?
Right. So this is awesome. This would be so much fun. I line with the movement of your organization with these kinds of like natural foods and wholesome stuff. I think that's awesome.
Maybe we could land at Ember and Ice potentially. We could try again or whatever nearby to get to the sauna.
Yeah, so that brings us to the so we operate under an FAA exemption, which allows us to do tandems as instructional flights.
Okay.
And so there has to be the pilot has to be with one of the schools. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, we've got at least 5 people. So we could do on a good day 3 flights of 5 people each. And we could do 15. And I could probably get 7. We could do 21 or something.
Where would be the most likely landing spot? Because I'm thinking like for the other people that have landed, maybe they can hang out at FNG Fine Park for the sauna.
Yeah,
how does that work?
We could actually bring a sauna if we wanted. That would be fun. Now you got me thinking. So the Foothills Community Park is in North Boulder.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
It's a beautiful big piece of grass. It's set right against the green belt, so you've got these beautiful green rolling hills. And then there's shade with the trees. We have a picnic blanket and frisbee and dog toys and cool drinks. And we lay all the like refreshments out. And so everyone gets to have fun in the landing area. We fly oftentimes in formation, and we'll come swoop down together and land next to the group of people. It's a shitload of fun. I would love to have you guys out to do that. Yeah.
What's the best time of the year for optimal flight conditions? Is there such a thing?
Before October.
Before October?
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty easy. So it works in the summer because Boulder is pretty hard to predict other than the summer.
I think no matter which way we do it, we're going to have weather constraints.
Mm-hmm.
Some days are incredible all day long. In Colorado, you never know till a day.
So we'd be on call
before.
for like this 3 or 4 day window of all these other experiences.
3 or 4 days, we'd find something. I hope. Like this week, right now as an example, we've got like 4 days of bad wind.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, it's only 3 days. Yeah. Thursday's good. So yeah, we've got like 4 days of bad weather. So the odds are, if you've got the better part of a week, we would find a day to do it. And man, that'd be a ton of fun.
Something's brewing here, because if we harvested a bison in the beginning, then maybe we could have some more. We would be able to have a lot of meat throughout the experience as well. Okay.
Yeah.
Meat and breaking all.
There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of men eating. Like I thought of this acronym once, like men eating animals together, but this would be like men eating. And maybe women flying together, harvesting honey together, milking goats and cows together. I mean, like this sounds like it sounds really part of that new the Nova Sapien culture that you're tapping into.
I love you picking up on this. You're kind of like inspiring me. That's great. Yeah.
All right, y'all, keep breaking normal. Stay inspired.
Right on, brother.
Rock
Catch
and roll.
you soon.
Yes, sir.
Boom.
Boom.
Yeah.